Shall we talk about the iPhone 12? Yes, I guess we should. That's the whole point of this video, Ben. So probably like you, I've seen an awful lot of reviews on the iPhone 12 and 12 Pro. Apple's latest and greatest, and really what more can be said about the new design, the new camera array, and 5G. 5G. To put it simply, these are the best iPhones that you can buy. So out of all of the reviews that I've seen, I do think a lot of them are very, very good. The cinematography and the way that people can portray and relay the information about these phones is incredible. But something fundamental has been really getting to me. I almost feel like most reviews have kind of got these phones wrong, and actually more the consumer at home wrong as well. I don't feel as though the majority of people have been given a real life review of the iPhone 12 and 12 Pro. So here is my people's iPhone 12 and 12 Pro review. So these iPhones have been released a little bit later. As we all know, this year has been a little bit crazy. So these are a little bit later than our normal upgrade path. Apple have graced us with, at the moment, the iPhone 12 and the 12 Pro, and in a few weeks, we'll be getting the iPhone 12 mini and the 12 Pro Max. All of this might seem slightly confusing, but hopefully in this video, I'll break it down to who might buy what and why. So with this time of year, there comes a decision of should I upgrade? Do I jump for the latest tech, or do I stick with the device that I currently own right now? And if I was to try and break it down, I really think there are kind of three types of people. Number one, you are the early adopters. You go out on launch day, you go wait outside an Apple store or wait for DPD to drop your iPhone off. You're the ones who want to pre-order the best of the best, and it doesn't really matter the cost. I also think there's a second camp, and this is probably where the majority of you hopefully are watching, is you're bound to a 2-year contract. You go through the cycle of upgrading every other year. Not many people just have £1,000 lying around to buy a new phone every year, so a monthly contract makes the most sense. Contracts typically tie you in for 2 years, which I think is almost a sweet spot for an upgrade cycle because you see a much bigger leap than a year-on-year improvement. And then an awful lot of people who don't upgrade very much at all and are very happy with a device if it is working, if it is functionable, and potentially their disposable income goes on other things. In my personal opinion, I do really feel as though the vast majority of YouTubers and tech reviewers have really concentrated and aimed this phrase of compared to the 11 and 11 Pro. Hit a like down below if you also feel like this has been a concurrent theme in a lot of the reviews. But in reality, if you upgrade every year, you've probably already made the decision to pick these phones up even before I've recorded this review. You're probably part of some sort of upgrade plan, either with a carrier or with Apple themselves. And in reality, I think comparing a phone to a very good phone only a year later is not the best comparison, really. As I feel as though there's a huge amount of content for people maybe wanting to upgrade from an iPhone 11 or 11 Pro already on YouTube, my review is much more catered to people on slightly older devices potentially looking to upgrade. So this review is for you. So this review isn't going to be laden in tech specs. I don't feel as though necessarily they are a true representation of what phones are like to live with day in, day out. But I have been using the phones for almost 2 weeks since the launch date, and what I'll be doing is comparing them to two phones that I use almost every day, which is my personal iPhone XS and an iPhone 7, which I use for work. The iPhone XS is probably a phone that a lot of people will be upgrading from. It's part of the 2-year cycle, and you might even be looking at upgrading from an iPhone 10. Compared to this device, there are some major improvements and then also some very minor improvements. So let's find out if this whole thing is worth it. So straight off the bat, one of the most important elements now of a phone is the camera. This is where I feel there has been a huge upgrade from the 10, 10S up to both the 12 and the 12 Pro. Instead of a normal wide angle and a telephoto lens that we found on the 10 and the 10S, the 12 goes for I think a much more creative ultra wide angled lens and a normal wide angle. Overall, these are way sharper cameras compared to the XS, and actually looking and comparing the two, it's almost quite embarrassing at how much better the iPhone 12 and 12 Pro are compared to the iPhone XS. Ultimately, I don't think Apple did the greatest job on the XS's camera for photographs, and comparing the two, the iPhone 12, you are definitely going to see a noticeable difference, and especially with that ultra wide as well. I think for social media, for stories, and just capturing a bit more of the atmosphere, the ultra wide is a really nice camera. So the iPhone 12 and 12 Pro basically take the best parts of the iPhone 11 Pro and improve it ever so slightly. But comparing that to the XS, there are huge differences and some benefits that you'll see. One of them is night mode and the ability to take much better low light photography. Actually, comparing it even to my Sony, which is a see in the dark king, the iPhone and the way that it does it is quite incredible. Another area that you'll notice an improvement is actually in the selfie camera. When I was comparing the iPhone XS even to the Pixel 4a, which was like a third of the price, the selfie camera was much better. Having a look on both of these phones, you have got more of a wide angle for those selfies, and all of the photographs are much sharper. I think overall, if you are coming from anything before the iPhone 11 camera system, I think you're going to notice major improvements in the camera, and you're going to be really happy with that for another 2 or 3 years. This is legitimately a very good camera system. Video is also improved. I actually started this channel on my iPhone XS, and I do really think that the video capability is much better than the actual camera ability. On a mobile platform, I don't think anybody comes close to Apple and the iPhone in terms of its video capability. And this has been almost the case probably for the past 5 or 6 years. A lot of chat of these two phones has come down to something called Dolby Vision HDR. In essence, basically, the camera can record much more light, so dark shadows, and better highlights, which is the bright bit, basically the sun, but it also captures much more colours. Now this is brand new. The actual technology isn't brand new, but the implementation of it is totally new, and not many things can actually use it apart from iPhones. So if you just share videos on social media, if you just share them with your friends through things like iMessage, you'll probably never actually notice a difference. But if you actually intend to use this phone for video editing, well, just to note, Final Cut Pro, which I use, doesn't actually have the support for the video at the moment. So it is something to consider if you are thinking of using this as an actual video camera. But once again, Apple have smashed it out of the park with video, so no worries there either. Something I really do like this year is that new redesign. Obviously, it takes elements of what we've seen with the iPhone 10, 10s and 11 with the notch, but the new squared off bezels, which are similar to an iPad Pro, the iPad Air, and if we're going back to the OG iPhone 4, 4S and 5. So for the past few years, what Apple have done is with the slightly cheaper variant of the phone, so the XR and the 11, they've actually put LCD displays on those phones, kind of justifying the price of it being cheaper compared to the more expensive phones. But this year, as you are probably well aware, these phones pretty much have an identical display. The only difference is one of the phones gets slightly brighter, but actually in reality, using these phones, you can't really tell the difference unless a very specific case of watching video. Now, again, there has also been a huge amount of discussion about the fact that the iPhone 12 Pro and Pro Max don't have higher refresh screens. This is something we see on the iPad Pro, but we've never actually seen on an iPhone. Using these phones, again, comparing it to older devices, it does still feel nicer because the phone is technically quicker. But overall, I don't think for the majority of people it's going to be a killer. It might be the reason though that you might wait. If you really want to see a complete change in screen technology with that high refresh screen, I'd probably maybe save your money this year and wait for next year's phone, if it ever comes out. Who knows? But using these phones with the squared off design, the actual display does seem slightly bigger. It feels wider, but it also just feels like a really nice experience. It's incredibly sharp, it is very bright, but overall, comparing it to my iPhone XS, there's a bit of a difference, but it's not major. Another new feature that these phones come with is 5G. 5G. Okay, so 5G. Please do not buy this phone on the premise of just 5G alone. Don't get sucked into 3 and EE's and T-Mobile and AT&T and anybody's marketing with 5G. That technology is going to be great when we can go to stadiums again or large events. When there's a lot of people in an area, you probably notice with 4G, you basically lose all internet connection. 5G should change that thing, but at the moment, with us all pretty much being at home or kind of just being in office and not being in large crowds, that technology is just not needed right now. And really, fundamentally, have you ever needed to download an entire season of The Mandalorian or Breaking Bad instantly? Me, personally, no. It's just ridiculous. The majority of the time, if you know that you're going on a flight or you're going away or you need something downloaded to your phone, you probably plan that and do it at home under Wi-Fi, which is typically just as quick. That technology is going to be great and these phones are future-proofed, ready for it, but I really don't feel as though that is a necessary reason to buy these phones this year. Another addition to this year's phone lineup is the introduction of MagSafe, or reintroduction of MagSafe. I do really like the idea of what that can bring, but in reality, because the iPhone X and XS and iPhone 8 already introduced wireless charging, well, I already have wireless charging around my house. If you've been like me and like the convenience of just putting your phone down and seeing it just charge without having to use wires, well, this is probably something you've already implemented, and MagSafe is actually just like a fancy version of that. I do quite like the application of using it as a kind of tripod mount or maybe on a bike, but the magnets actually aren't as strong as I first thought and kind of the videos insinuated, and I probably wouldn't want to use just a magnet if I was on a bike. Similar to 5G, I'm really intrigued to see where Apple take this. It's nice to see it on the device, but I don't think it's a real defining moment to really buy the phone. MagSafe also brought out some new accessories, so you've got the puck, which I'll be honest, if you are coming from an iPhone X or XS or anything older, we don't actually have the right USB brick. You need something which has USB-C in the brick, which all of mine is USB-A. In reality, I think the puck with the charger, you're much better getting something else that actually I think would be much cheaper or more useful. Apple also brought some other accessories out, like cases and the wallet. For the price, I really do feel as though you can get much better value and better cases out there. The one that I had, which was the clear one, I really wasn't that impressed with, especially for the price. Now, one of the affiliate partners that I actually have on the channel is a company called Nomad. If you've never heard of them before, they make amazing cases for iPhones and AirPods and loads of different accessories. You can actually check out a link below, which will take you to the website, and it will help me out as a creator, but also it means you get to see some awesome cases. They're pretty much the same price as Apple, but seemingly much better quality. Go check them out. Something that also we have to care about on a phone is battery life. So we charge it and then we use the battery. Last year's phone seemingly got a little bit thicker and they put a bigger battery in, and I quite like the roadmap idea of that. But Apple have scuppered that and gone for a nice looking phone again, and it's gone thinner again, which means the battery's slightly smaller. But again, comparing it to our slightly older phones, if you're coming from a 2-year-old phone, 3-year-old phone, the battery performance of that has got worse, and you probably won't really notice that much of a difference. I'll be honest, I didn't really at all. Comparing it to my iPhone, I really didn't notice a difference in battery. Right, okay, so overall, can I recommend the iPhone 12 Pro and the iPhone 12? Well, definitely. I really like the display and I really like the feel of the phone. If you like using your phone naked, I would definitely go for the iPhone 12 Pro. It feels much nicer in the hand with that matte finish on the back. I really do like the fit and finish of that phone. If you're going for a case and you're not particularly bothered about things like LiDAR and a little bit of extra RAM in your phone, I would probably go for the iPhone 12. Save that little bit of money, get some nice accessories, and you're pretty much at a much cheaper price point than we were a couple of years ago. If you're really into photography and videography and really use this as a main device, I would probably hold off buying either of these phones and really see what the iPhone 12 Pro Max is like. Even though it has a bigger display and it probably will not fit in pockets as nicely as these two phones, because the phone is bigger, it has a bigger sensor, and the likelihood is I think the camera system on that is going to be much better. I do feel as well buying something like the iPhone 12 Pro is more of a status symbol over the iPhone 12. Similar in cars where like on a BMW you can get the M package, pretty much does the same thing but looks nicer. I think that is a big thing with this year's iPhone 12 and 12 Pro comparison. Me personally, because I'm working from home and staying at home a lot more, I might be putting my money into other things instead of upgrading my phone this year. Maybe something like an iPad. But if you are not too happy with your iPhone right now and want to see improvements, the 12 and the 12 Pro really are terrific devices. I really hope you enjoyed this video. I hope that the more real life comparisons came in handy. And if you did, please, if you can, like it, comment, let me know your thoughts. And if you want to see more videos like this again and support the channel, hit that subscribe button. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next one. Bye for now.